Alright, so this one is on the media. Now, there's quite a few media stations that I tried to get a hold of. They didn't care because of the protection order that Natalie got. A protection order that I was prevented from going to illegally. Even if Ken and Leah hadn't stolen my money, there's the fact that you have to have that paperwork in 7 days prior to court. And that protection order was handed to me 6 days prior. So there was literally nothing that I could do except take it. Now, that was the first time I was ever served with a protection order. It's also the first time that I was ever prevented from leaving a situation. When I realized how fucked up Natalie was and that she wasn't going to get off the heroin, I already knew somebody was going to take the blame. What Mike Boudet did, he's not the only media outlet, and he's not an actual media outlet. He's an entertainer. The problem is he used the tragedy of my life and Natalie's life to boost ratings and get money out of people. For me, people have helped me out a lot, and I'm thankful for that help. What I'm not thankful for is the fact that the help that they promised and the help that they gave are not the same thing. If these people actually cared about me, wouldn't they make more effort to actually get a hold of me? You know how many times Joanna Taylor has called me since Natalie died? She hasn't. I had to call her. You know how many times me and Derek have spoken? Well, actually, me and Joanna and me and Derek both spoke. But they don't bother to call me. They don't bother to get a hold of me. They don't make any effort at it. Exposing people on Facebook is because I wasn't allowed to make a police report, and I need to make sure that this shit is documented. When somebody is assaulted, yeah, somebody needs to take a report. An officer needs to do their job. Instead of blowing me off and telling me I just need to man up. That's the reason me and Dan Favorite don't speak anymore. It's not just the fact that his money doesn't make a difference, because it really doesn't. It didn't get me an honest day in court. It didn't get me people there in person. It just basically wasted his money and wasted my time. Now, most of these people, Shannon Alvarado, I'll use her as an example. Her and her boyfriend going at it every night. It doesn't matter that they're not going after me. It matters that it's happening. And it's sending me into a panic attack. Why wouldn't it? I mean, I'm under a severely stressful situation as is. These people offered to help. They didn't help how they offered. But the little stuff they did. The thing is, everybody needs help. The help that I needed, I didn't get. But do you know who did? The Bollingers did. They got help from the cops. The cops sure as shit took their report. Even the lies. But I couldn't get anyone to go in with me. Miss Peaches, she couldn't go in with me until 9 months after Natalie was dead. Did she go in with me on the 29th? Actually, no. She drove herself there on the 29th. I rode in a police car. We didn't get to talk to each other while we were there. She didn't sit in the room with me. When Natalie disappeared, my first thought was to find her. When she ended up dead, my first thought was to find the man who killed her. I was wrong. But unlike the people who came after me, I admit when I do wrong. Getting Shannon to admit that she is an alcoholic and that she doesn't listen as a result of her alcoholism, that's difficult. Lana and Amanda, I actually recorded them. Well, Amanda anyway. They lost my notebooks. That's not the only stuff that disappeared while I was up there. Well, it didn't disappear while I was up there. It disappeared after I left. With this Mike Boudet feller and the way that he painted me, he went out of his way to cut that interview up into something that it wasn't. To try to paint me as a bad person. I'm frustrated as fuck. You know how many times people assaulted Natalie over me? None. Nobody assaulted Natalie over me. Nobody. Nobody assaulted Alicia over me. Nobody assaulted Miss Shelley over me. Nobody threatened to fucking kill them. Now, Ted, yeah, I did threaten to kill him. The night before my grandmother's funeral, I made a video saying that if anything happened to Shelley Campbell, Danica Garner, Rose Kelly, or Alicia Bollinger, that I would kill him. I was frustrated at that point. I mean, I'd spent 7 hours typing with him, trying to get some assurance that Alicia was alive and okay. But she had my phone number, and he was asking for my phone number from her account, which he would have needed her there present for in order to get into. A lot of the people who offered to help are women who are in abusive relationships. So they're bipolar as far as their relationships go. They're in love and they're happy with the dude for 2 weeks at a time. And then he's an abusive asshole, and then they want to talk to me and they want to help me when they're on the downtime with their boyfriends. When things are negative with their boyfriends. Sean, I want to help you. All right, well then listen. Okay, I'll listen. And then I answer the phone, and they end up talking about their boyfriends the whole time. So I got my head full of the issues that Shannon Alvarado has to deal with, and they're not little issues. And I got my head full of a whole list of the issues that Tabitha Cook has to deal with. And they're not little issues. There's a lot of people who I was cut off from that later on, when I was able to talk to them, they're like, oh no, dude, I didn't cut you off. I don't know what the fuck happened. Well, you need to write that down. A lot of these people, with what Officer Jonas wrote down, she knew it was an outright lie when she wrote it down. That nobody wanted to go in with me because of the way that I act. No, I act this way because I'm frustrated as fuck. People weren't able to go in with me because of poverty, because of work, because of family obligations, because of illnesses. And although I can prove all of this, there's also the fact that if I post it up, these people get pissed off because it's their personal business. Well, that's the thing. Sure, it's your personal business, but also, you shouldn't offer to help. And if your personal business is what's preventing you from being able to keep your word, the least you can do is let the courts know this. Yes, I make stuff public now. I know how to record conversations now. It's because it's important. It's important to gather evidence. Before Natalie died, I needed help doing that. I couldn't get anybody to listen. And I do mean anybody. Now, a lot of the issue that people have is they think that I need a fucking therapist. Like, yeah, I totally need 400 different people to try to explain the same thing over and over again to who are busy talking over me. Yeah, that's not helpful. Now, a lot of people, they're pissed off about me telling the truth. Shannon Alvarado. A lot of the stuff that I said while I was there, she said that bugs me, but I know it's true. Well, yeah, of course I'm telling the truth. What do you expect out of me? Now, when I threatened to kill the President of the United States, obviously I'm not going to try to kill anybody. It's not in my nature. But at the same time, I don't want to live. See, good people commit suicide. Bad people kill other people. I'm not down with killing anybody. And if I am going to kill somebody, it's going to be me. Because my life fucking sucks. I can't afford the help that I have. This vehicle is the help that my dad was willing to offer. Meanwhile, just not being a fucking dickhead to me would have been a lot bigger help. Letting me use his mailbox would have been a lot bigger help. Him being a fucking dickhead to me, standing in the door and not allowing me to leave, screaming at me for 45 minutes and then whining like a fucking mule that I fucking screamed back at him. Fuck you, Dad. There's plenty of people that I screamed at. There's people I screamed at that didn't deserve it. There's people I screamed at that did not scream at me. However, my dad doesn't fit those categories. My dad started off with the screaming. My dad's been the same way for as long as I've known him. He gets off on tearing me down. Gets off on treating me like shit. Gets off on being abusive to somebody he can get away with being abusive to. Now, the biggest issue that I have with not having my own money is that people throw it in my face that I don't have any damn money. Well, with all due respect, if I'd have had your help when I needed it, when I first started asking, before Natalie died, then I'd have had my own money to do stuff with. Problem is, people kept stealing that money. People kept stealing my hard-earned labor for years before I fucked up my back. Natalie didn't just save me from myself, she saved me from the Boulder Police Department, which is why I was suicidal to begin with. I couldn't see my friends or family, I couldn't even walk a fucking block. The cops knew this and wouldn't leave me the fuck alone. Night after night after night. Getting an hour of sleep or less every night in 2016. That's what Natalie saved me from. Natalie and Maddie Boa. Now, with Mike Boudet going out of his way to paint me as badly as possible in his Sword and Scale episodes, to chop up my interview, and then to tell me he wants me to give another interview. Are you out of your goddamn mind? If you're going to slander my name, go ahead and do it, Mike. I don't have the money to come after you in court. You're a fucking sleazeball, Mike. So's your friend Josh. By the way, I took screenshots of the things that he had to say about you making him destroy evidence. You destroyed that interview and it was supposed to go to the police, Mike. You're a vile and wretched creature. Now, unlike you, when I called people cunts, I wasn't talking about cutting them open to see what's inside. That's a sick fucking statement, Mike. When I call people a cunt, there's a reason for it. It's because their lies or their slander are getting people physically harmed. I was physically harmed repeatedly last year. The reason that I was harmed repeatedly last year is because I had nobody on my side. My dad and my mom could have spoke up, but they didn't care. They just wanted normal kids. Now here's an example of people wanting something so bad that they prevent it. My dad did not want a fat kid. So he had the doctors give me some medications that would make me less fat. I got fatter. Also, he didn't want a kid with pimples, so he bought them oxy pads and had me put on antibiotics and other drugs to fuck up your system. And guess what? My acne got worse. Turns out the alcohol was burning my skin. It was taking away all the oils, so my body was trying to produce oils in a much faster rate. But also, when you use an alcohol pad, it cools your skin down. If there's anything on your face that gets into a pore, that coolness closes that pore around it. And that's how you get a blackhead. Now, a lot of people are trying to push this racism stuff with the Boulder Police Department. I'm not going to pretend they're not racist. They are. But that's due to poverty. It's easy to look at a black man and assume he's impoverished in the United States. And I know there's those of you who are going to give me that exception to the rule and try to play it off like that's the way it is for everybody. Well, it's not. It's kind of like them racists are going to try to play it off like all black people with money are drug dealers. And we all know that's not the case. The fact is, I didn't just study the social issues, I did something about it. The things that I spoke about weren't just things that happened to me. They're things that happen to a lot of broke people. It happens to them because they're broke. Now, there's one of them therapy sessions that I was at. The woman was saying that her family and her friends are miles and miles away. But she also doesn't have warrants out for her arrest. She's not too disabled to work. She's got money coming in, roof over her head. Me, I can't afford this vehicle. I accepted this vehicle because my dad said he was going to help in a way that he's not helping. And he's not going to. I needed my dad to come forward and tell the truth. Now these people, it's easy for them to throw me away because they have people in their lives. It's easy for them to throw me away because they're not going through this. And that's the point about our rights. You turn a blind eye when it happens to other people, but then when it happens to you, you bitch that nobody's there for you. Meanwhile, I was there for everybody until I couldn't be.